Well, welcome to the Change Catalyst podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I was so excited. We got a lot of feedback when we were asking for first responder spouses, so I was so excited to see the interest, and I'm really excited to share your story and your perspective. So, just for our listeners, can you introduce yourself, who you are, where you're from, what life looks like today?
So I'm Michelle Bundek. I am from Hartley in Kent County. I grew up, was raised on a farm. I've actually lived on the same road my entire life, 3 different addresses.
Oh, wow.
So
Is it Hartley Road? Because that's a really long road, I've heard.
It is not. No, it's not. So, man, I don't know where to start.
Sure.
So I went to college, got a bachelor's degree in agronomy and environmental science. That's what I thought I was supposed to do. I was a farm girl, supposed to go in agriculture.
Do farm things. What would you do with a degree like that?
So after college, I went into, it was environmental science. I went and worked for agency where I worked on Route 1 and all the Phragmites in those wetland sites, especially from like Smyrna North.
Yeah.
We went into there, we checked wells, we sprayed Phragmites, checked on, I also worked on some bog turtle sites up in Newcastle, because if you find a bog turtle, which are really hard to find, then you can't build on that property or anywhere near it.
So it's like a protected area.
It is, yep. It's in like the Piedmont range. So I did that for a little bit, decided that I'm not really liking snakes and doing all of that. So I decided to go back and go get my master's in education.
Okay.
Funny thing is that my family actually laughed at me. They're like, "What? You're going to go into education?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think this is what I want to do." And the only person that actually was like, "I think you should do it," was my current husband, Richard.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
See, he was a supporter way back in the day.
Yeah. Growing up, my family was very active in the fire service. My dad was the chief in Hartley for a very long time. My sister and I joined when we were 14.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And we grew up through that. We were now life members, so we did it for a full active 15 years. Wow. And then at that point is when I had my oldest son. And I was like, I think my life's changing. I think it's time to get out. Throughout that time, I knew who my husband was, but he was just this kid in another company. And so I knew who he was, but I didn't actually know him. It wasn't until...
Was there a lot of women in the fire department at that time?
No.
Not
at that time. My sister and I, we grew up in it, but we were very active. And she actually started, and she became a lieutenant, and then a captain, and then assistant chief, and then she became the deputy chief at one point. Awesome. And then I became a lieutenant, a captain, and then an assistant chief. So those were our highest rankings right before we both stepped away.
Okay. And so you grew up on the same farm you're raising your boys in now. So what does that continuity feel like for you?
So it's changed a lot. The farm has grown since I was younger. Our home farm is up the street with where my parents live. And I actually live on the second part of the farm. Okay. My dad was very close and worked in a chicken house that was a laying house, so where they laid eggs and stuff way back in like the 70s. And it was a big production at that time. It would be small now, but back in the day it was big. When the gentleman that lived there died, my dad acquired that farm, so that's where we live now. It's great just to see the boys. They just go and they do their thing, and they're gone almost all day. And then they come home at like nighttime. Yeah. Yep. That's they have awesome. A Ranger 150, and they just go and they're through the woods and in the ditch, and like they spent all summer in the tax ditch. Like that is like their love. Like, aww. So
like a good old fashioned childhood.
Yes.
Not stuck in front of a screen, which is amazing.
No, we have to actually like fight them to get inside when it's like freezing or it's 100 degrees. And you're like, come on, just come in for like 30 minutes and take a break.
I love that. Mm-hmm. And so do you think they have any interest in following that path, like on the farm?
Yeah, my dad is like their hero. Like he's always across the street in the chicken house. He's now turned it into like, he's turned it into a lot of things, especially for the boys. One side is his like shop where a lot of the tractors are. He actually just stopped farming himself
Okay.
this year. So we did sell a lot of the tractors. And the boys initially were like, why? Why is he doing this? Like, I want to farm.
Yeah.
And then the other side is a batting cage.
Yeah. That's where our son practices in a converted chicken farm, a chicken coop, chicken house. That is a batting cage. So we've seen that before. Yeah.
Yeah. So anytime they can, they go across the street and hang out with my dad. They've torn a lawnmower apart and they're trying to figure out how everything works in it. And he's trying to teach them all that stuff. And they've really been getting on him. He has like a small tractor, but one of his friends had it.
Mm-hmm.
He finally got it back to the chicken house and they're going through it and they just got new tires and he's like teaching them that whole process. So it makes my heart very happy because Richard is not very mechanically inclined or like he is not a farmer at all. He wanted nothing to do with it to start with. And we have cows. So that was like when we first got together, he's like, you want me to go do what?
Yeah.
I'm like, please, can you just go feed them real quick? I want to hop in the shower. But
so what type of farm is it?
It was mostly a grain farm.
Okay.
Soybeans, corn, wheat, sometimes sorghum. We do have about 10 Hereford cows right now, so beef cows that we do. They're mostly just for us. That's what feeds us every year.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Wonderful. So tell me about how you and Richard first met.
So we were both in the fire service to start with. We went to high school. Like I said, I knew who he was, but we didn't really like hang out very much.
Okay, so you guys went to high school together, but maybe different circles, so to speak.
He was a grade younger than me.
Okay.
He was in the Little Creek group, and I was more in like with the either softball players or all the like jocks and stuff. Played softball and field hockey, so I was with those groups a lot. And then graduated, went away, came back, and he was in the Marine Corps, and then he got out. And he was just hanging around Dover. And, Dover in the early 2000s was like big for race weekends, going to Bubba's.
Oh, my gosh, Bubba's. I haven't heard that name in a long time.
There was a lot of hanging out at like some different bars just in that point in our lives. And I actually told my sister, I was like, why don't you just give Richard like a chance? Like, just, go out. And she's like, I am not dating Richard from Little Creek. I'm like, why? And she's like, because I'm not. I was like, all right, well, I'll give him a chance.
Yeah. Like, okay, I'll try.
And we, just started hanging out. That was around December of 2007.
And is that when he was already out of the Marine Corps at that point?
He had just gotten out in March.
Okay. So right when he got back, he had just gotten out. Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. He was, he did a lot of fishing and commercial crabbing.
Okay.
That's what he did. And then we started dating in December of 2007. He hasn't left.
Well, that's good.
I joke he came and he's never left.
He went for one time.
Yes.
And stayed.
Yep. Never left.
And so when you and Richard first started dating, you guys were both volunteer firefighters, both involved in the company.
Mm-hmm.
And so what did service look like early in your relationship?
He was a little bit more laid back. Like his dad and his brother are very active, been fire chiefs, both of them, for a very long time. He was not as, I think he was into it initially, but as he got older, he was not into it as much as they were. It was not like his life. Whereas for me, I chose a lot of different things based on what was happening at the firehouse or at that time.
So I am not familiar with the volunteer firefighter aspect of things. Like, what is the expectation? Like, when you sign up, what does that look like?
So it just, you have to go through fire school and you have to take certain classes in order to be able to do certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And then to be line officers, you have to take additional classes on top of that. So it really is volunteer what you want to do. You have to make 20%, at least in the company I was in, you have to make 20% in order to be active.
Like 20% of the calls?
Yeah, if I can remember correctly. It's been a while.
Something like that.
Yeah, and even when I was in college, I was still active. Like I would come home on the weekends again because when I was a homebody, my twin sister was also at home. And then there was that fire service, and I was very connected to it. Even when I went away to college, I joined the company up in Doylestown.
Okay.
and rode a little bit up there. I didn't ride much because it wasn't home. It was different for
Yeah, it
me.
didn't feel the same.
Mm-hmm.
Feel the same home and community.
Yeah, I knew everything at home and I was comfortable there. So, but it didn't matter like what I was doing. If I was supposed to be at a softball game in Chestertown at 5 o'clock, but an alarm went off at 4:30 because I pushed it leaving home, I would go.
Right.
Looking back, like I should not have necessarily revolved around that, but I did. That's just what I did. That's who I was at that time.
It sounds like that was also part of your family with like your
Mhm.
dad being so involved and
It was.
yeah. And so when you guys were early in your dating, like did you guys go on calls together or like I know you said you were a little bit more involved than he was, or I guess it probably maybe revolved around like work schedules too, I would imagine.
Yeah, and it's to think about it. He didn't very much. He kind of just stayed to his side, and if he was over here and it went off, he might go down, he might ride, but he did not hop on that much. Whereas
Yeah.
me, our neighboring company, we were very close. If we were anywhere near, we would just go over there and ride. Or if
Mm.
I was hanging out with some other friends in some other neighboring companies, even in Maryland, if we were around, they just told us we could hop on.
Okay.
But he actually didn't. He didn't ride. We didn't ride much. We talked a lot about different things that happened, because living on different sides of the state, because he was on the east and I was on the west. We went into Maryland a lot. He didn't.
Okay.
They had a lot of water rescues. We didn't.
Right, because he was closer to this side. Okay.
So we talked a lot about them. And I think in the beginning of our relationship, that's kind of like what our conversations really revolved around.
Was it like a connection point for you guys? Like
Yeah.
something you guys bonded over, so to
Mhm.
speak?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That,
Okay.
drinking.
Yeah. Back in
And,
the day. Yep.
hunting. We're both big hunters also.
Okay. So you guys had that shared.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, especially in like kind of that area, the Little Creek, Smyrna, Hartley, like that area. That's what you do there, right?
Yeah.
Like that's very much what is part of that community.
Absolutely.
Definitely. And wrestling, I'm learning too. So
Yeah. And he did hunt more with me. He growing up only was on public land and I've always only hunted on private land.
right.
So probably after he got back from Afghanistan, he started hunting with us more.
Okay.
So, and then now that's something that our boys do with us as well.
Wonderful. So he was. When did he get into the military? Was it right after school or at high school or?
Yep, right right after high school. He graduated in June and then he went in on St. Patrick's Day the year after. So it would have been 2003, I believe.
Okay.
He went to boot camp, then did infantry.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout his time, he went to Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
He went to Iraq first. Then he was actually in Japan for Christmas when the tsunami hit.
Wow.
And then he went to the tsunami.
Okay.
So he has all those experiences and unfortunately witnessed all that devastation.
Yeah. And so do you, at the time, and you guys kind of reconnected in 2007. So at the time, did you really understand the weight of that kind of experience at the time where he had like witnessed all of those things through Iraq and through the tsunami?
I didn't, I was in college when, 9/11 happened.
Mm-hmm.
I was a freshman, first time away from home.
Yep.
And then, so I understood like that part and I understood, us going to war and the stuff I saw on TV.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't understand like what he had actually witnessed and went through emotionally throughout that, or even physically, because it was very physically demanding when he was there.
Yeah. So what was he doing with in the aftermath of the tsunami?
So he, from my understanding, he was on like a kind of like a humanitarian ship, and they were there to protect pretty much as security.
Sure, it's a vulnerable country. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they went, and that's what they went. They went to deliver supplies and stuff needed for that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure that was tough to witness the devastation that was left from that. It was significant, very significant. And so how did it feel? Because you had mentioned that he was in Iraq, he went to the tsunami, and then he came home.
Yes.
And so how long was he home before he was recalled?
He got recalled probably, I believe it was March of 2008.
So you
So a
guys
year.
started dating in '07, and then he got recalled in '08.
Right. But it was only months later.
Oh,
He got the letter and said that he would have to go in the fall. I believe it was November 1st.
okay.
He had to report to California.
Mm. So, like, not even like, hey, we're going to go
Not even Camp Lejeune.
here to Camp Lejeune. We're going
He
to
had
go
to go to
all the way across the
Pendleton.
country.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
so, and you guys were kind of newly dating.
We
So,
were.
how did that, like, shape your relationship at that point? Like, I guess that was probably, like, a
Yeah, like,
turning point in the relationship, so to speak.
It was. And I was so naive at the time. I'm like, oh, I'm going to take him. We're going to go to Mexico. I want to spend a week. We're going to go. And so I booked a trip and everything. And then somebody's like, you probably need to tell him. I'm like, what do you mean? He's got a passport. He was in the military. And they're like, yeah, he's got a military passport. He doesn't have a civilian passport. I was like, good point.
Right.
Good point. I probably should tell him. Um, so we went just to, spend some time, really, try to get to know each other a little bit better. I mean, we'd almost been dating a whole year at that point.
Yeah.
I actually was like, talking to people. I'm like, I kind of want to, like, I think we should get engaged. Like, we've been together almost a year. He's going to be gone for a whole year. Like, we're going to go from 1 year to 2 years in no time.
Yeah.
We did not get engaged before he went to Afghanistan. He actually came home twice to surprise me.
Oh, okay.
While he was gone, I was going to school to get my master's. I was working like 4 part-time jobs, trying to make ends meet because I was not living at home at the time.
Yeah.
So like when my sister would always go pick him up and sneak him home.
Oh.
And she called me one night after I had class and she's like, come to the bar. I'm like, no, I'm just going to go home.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I want to go home. She's like, no, really, come to the bar. I'm like, no, I want to go home. And she finally talked me into it and I go. And then, of course, he's there.
Oh.
So.
That's wonderful that he got to come home a little bit in between.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so what, looking back, like what did that year apart kind of teach you?
It taught me a lot of different things. I think one thing is that, I can do hard things.
Mm-hmm.
I think I live kind of minute by minute. Is he going to call today? Am I going to hear from him? Because he would do a really good job calling me from a satellite phone. So I knew if it was like, I think it was like a 999 number, like all the way across, I knew that was him calling.
Right.
But then I could also at that time, we had the internet and we had, what was it, Instant Messenger?
Yeah, AIM.
Yep. So like he would pop on there. But then if I would get on and he wouldn't be on there, like, then that was hard. Like I would go a long time waiting.
A lot of waiting.
Because if something happened,
Yeah.
they locked all communication down.
Yeah.
So I couldn't hear from him for days until family was notified and that kind of stuff of the soldier that something might have happened to. So I think that I can do hard things. Things are worth waiting for.
Mm-hmm. Especially in this, I would say we're kind of in a culture of immediate gratification, instant gratification. A lot of things feel very like if it's not right now, it's not, you know what I mean? Like it's not worth it. And I think, having to wait a year to see somebody you love is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did it teach you a little bit, like, I think one thing that first responder spouses and military spouses are really good at is being independent and being resilient. Did you feel any of those things during that time?
I think it definitely because, I was living on my own, even though my parents were right up the street and they would help me with anything. I was not going to ask them for help. You know what I mean? Because I'm living on my own. I did have to figure out how to make things work and how to make sure that I was, my bills were paid. Like I said, I had 4 jobs, so I had to do that. It wasn't an option.
Right.
So I was doing everything I could, anything. But I was also student teaching at that same time.
That's a lot. Yeah.
So what can I give up today to make sure that I can get this done, but I have to get my assignments done, but I need to pay this bill tomorrow, that type of thing.
Yeah. All in the meantime waiting for the phone call that you get. Yeah. So he was gone for about a year, is
Mhm.
that what you said?
Yep.
And he was in Afghanistan.
Yes.
And so tell me about when he came home.
Um, well, it was a bittersweet day. The day that I went with his dad and his brother to pick him up from the airport. My grandfather died that same
Oh,
like
goodness.
20 minutes from the time I visited him at the nursing home. I left, and my mom called me and said that he passed away.
Oh, my goodness.
So it's hard. I'm sad. I'm upset. I'm crying in the back of this vehicle, but I'm also excited
Gosh, what a
because
mix of emotions. Oh, my
Richard's coming
gosh.
home. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh, but that's a day you don't forget.
Yeah.
Wow. And then when he came home, did you notice any, I don't know, like any changes in him after he came home? Because you had been dating for a year, he was like gone for a year, and then he comes home. Did you notice any like changes, even if you don't maybe didn't have language for it then? Like, did you notice any changes for him? In him?
I don't think I noticed it initially because I think we were so young at that time. We were still so involved in our normal everyday things. We would still go to the bar. We would still hang out. We would still do those type of things. But then as time went on, definitely
Yeah, when things settled and everything could come up to the top.
mm-hmm, you know, I tell him all the time he's got PTSD. He refuses to agree with that statement.
Sure. Yeah.
But you should try sleeping with that man. It is like I am like on a roller coaster all night because all I'm doing is like moving, like jumping because he's jumping because who knows what's happening in his mind,
Mm-hmm.
what he's going through at that point. But he constantly jumps. Loud sounds, or I shouldn't say loud sounds that he is not expecting.
Unexpected sounds. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Set our trigger for him.
Mm-hmm.
He's used to IEDs blowing up and just being shot at.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's, it's home is supposed to be a calm and safe place. But when you hear that kind of stuff, I'm assuming and guessing that it's just bringing back.
Yeah,
He's
just
having
follows,
flashbacks and that kind of stuff.
follows you back.
Yeah.
And then what was there any like service, like any requirements for him once he got home, like that he had to, like to finish up his service, or anything that like the military said you have to do the X, Y, and Z before you can out process?
No, he had to go through all of the physicals and all that kind of stuff when he got back and did that. He had 1 year left of inactive duty.
Mm-hmm.
But he wasn't called back or anything for that.
So once they get out, there's like a time period where they can just call you back.
So I think when you sign up for so many years, right? You can decide to do all of them active, or you can decide to do 4 active and 2 or inactive.
Okay.
Which means kind of like what he did. He came home, and then a year later, they're like, "Hey,
we need you.
We need you back. You got to fight. Let's go."
Oh man.
But I mean, I can't imagine like what he kind of went through. He didn't really talk about it, but he's been in civilian life for a year doing his thing. We're now together.
Yeah.
We've been together for a year, and now I have to go back knowing that I'm going to Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Knowing that what my goal is.
Always come home.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Man, that must have been tough.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I don't know if I'd be able to do that inactive, because like the unknown is not something I manage well.
Right.
So I'd be like, we're just gonna do it all.
I mean, I don't know of anybody that was actually recalled until then.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know
like that, yeah.
When a big war is going on, like it could happen, or a lot of times they're stop loss, right?
Yeah.
You're supposed to get out, but they're like, nope, we need you to go do this. But I had never heard of
like
this
he'd been
happening.
gone for a year and then pulled him back.
Right. And then they sent him a letter and was like, nope, you got to report on this day.
Oh, man. I wonder how many people just ignore the letters.
We know somebody that ignored the letter.
And what happened?
Nothing. And he's like, if I'd have known nothing, he's like, I feel like he thought he was going to be court-martialed and all this stuff.
I'm
from
sure
not...
they tell you, like, something bad's going to happen if you don't.
Right. But nothing.
Huh.
Mm-mm.
Interesting. Oh.
Yep.
That's very interesting. Anybody else ignore the letter? Let us know what happens. So when he got back, it sounds like then things kind of picked up quickly in your life.
Yes. Yes.
So tell us about what happened when he got back.
He got back. When he was gone, he finally, like, Richard was one that he never wanted to get married. He never wanted to have kids. He didn't. He just wanted to be like this, like, soul that just kind of floated
From a
with,
bachelor
you
doing
know
what
what
he
I mean?
wants to do.
Exactly. He was happy just working on, commercial fishing and crab boats, doing that thing. But when he was there, I think it was actually a good thing for him, because he decided, all right, I need to make some choices. I need to change and make some choices. So he decided at that point he was going to become an EMT and try and pick up like some part-time work and then try and find something full-time.
Did he have any of that experience while he was in the military? Like, did he do any like medic stuff while in the military, or just his exposure probably through?
Yeah, just his exposure.
Okay.
Yep. Nope, he didn't do any of that in the military. So as soon as he came back, we got engaged within a month.
Okay.
Got engaged, and then that started that whole process.
Oh yeah.
But we got married in August, so I didn't give us time.
Nope.
Not much time. So we went, got his EMT. His first job was actually in the summer. He got hired at Rehoboth.
Okay.
So we did seasonal summertime work with Rehoboth, and then he got hired right before we got married at Milford.
Okay.
And that's where his first full-time job was, in Milford. I was student teaching when we got engaged. And then I got hired as a long-term sub, and then I got a full-time job right before we got married also. So both of us full-time jobs.
And so is this 2008, 2009?
2010.
2010.
He got back in fall of 2009.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So he probably would have been in Milford around the same time TJ was for EMT.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, somewhere around there. So you guys got married.
Yep.
And then sounds like you guys kind of followed that path, got married, and had some babies.
We did.
So tell me about the birth of your first son.
So everything was great. We were excited, a little scared. Not as scared as I probably should have been because it was my first baby. Everything was good. We went in. I thought like I was in labor. I didn't realize, like, nobody tells you about it. Like, they kind of prepare you, but nobody actually prepares you for having a baby.
No, I agree. It's very like, you'll be fine. It's fine. Everyone does it. And you're like, okay, but can you tell me a little bit more about that?
And they
What's it going to feel like? What's it going to be like?
They definitely don't prepare you for afterwards.
100%. 100%.
So both my boys were born in June. One was supposed to be a May baby. One was supposed to be a July baby, but I got 2 June babies.
Aw.
So my oldest, Landon, was a week early.
Okay.
I went into labor. And I actually told Richard, I was like, he found me one morning in the bathtub, and I'm like, I'm fine. Go to work. Go to work. I'll call you if I need you. He's like, I am not going to work.
He's like, I'm an EMT, right?
You're in labor. I am not going to work. I was like, I'm fine. So we actually, so we went to the hospital, went through all of that. And then right after, I guess they thought, I don't know, I'm so naive with the whole medical field and everything. And my sister is an RN, but I'm not so naive. She was there, and so was Richard. And like NICU came in. I'm like, is this normal? Like, I just thought it was normal.
They just come in and check over the baby, right?
Yeah, I didn't think anything. It was before like he actually was born. I guess they originally thought there was meconium staining. Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why the NICU was there.
Okay.
To check on him. But so I had him. They took him, and they're like, "Hey, Dad, you want to come over?" And Richard's like, "Nah, I'm good." They're like, "No, Dad, like, you want to come over?" So then I still had no idea what was going on. And then come to find out, like, Landon had some complications, and they had to do some more testing to see if he needed to be airlifted or taken by ambulance to AI DuPont.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a brand new mom. This is
everything,
happening.
all the emotions, all the hormones, all the things going on.
Yep.
And then there's questions.
Yep. And I can't go with him.
Mm.
I have to stay at the hospital.
Gosh, but that was really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And so was Richard able to go up with him?
Richard and my sister, they both went together.
And how long was he at AI and you at, I'm assuming, Kent?
Yeah, I was at Kent. They actually let me go probably before they should have let me go because my baby was up north.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I'm going. So
Right. So they let me go as soon as I could. So it was the next day, probably midday.
okay.
Hmm.
Gosh, I bet that was a rough, 24 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And, there's not a lot of service in the hospital.
there is not.
So I could not just call and be like, hey, what's going on? Like all that stuff. And, of course, I know I needed to sleep, but I can't sleep because my kid and my husband are not with me. I need to
Yeah.
know what's going on. But
And so, how long was he then at AI before you guys could go home?
just another 24 hours.
Okay.
It wasn't that long. And,
I'm sure it felt like an eternity, though.
it did.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
But, once we're going home, like this is, to me, it was the most traumatic thing in my life at that point. And it was very hard for me. But then as you walk through the hospital, it's nothing compared to what other families are dealing with.
AI can put you in a whole bunch of perspective.
Yes.
Just walking in the front door is like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really commend anybody that can work there
Mm-hmm.
day in and day out and continue to do the amazing work that they do with all the things that go through there, all the experiences that they deal with daily.
Yeah. It almost makes you feel guilty because, I'm all upset over my pretty much healthy baby.
Right.
Just had, this minor setback, and knowing that families are dealing with so much more on a daily basis.
Right.
Yeah.
Goodness. So once you guys get home with your son, I think was when did the change happen in Richard's career when he went from EMT to Anne Arundel?
A year.
Okay.
So we got home, trying to do the whole baby thing. We were trying to be really supportive of each other, right? We made some dumb mistakes that first kid.
Oh gosh, yeah.
We were like, all right, if you're up, I'm going to be up, and we're going to be there to support each other. We watched a lot of the Olympics at that time. And then we were like, I remember texting my mom and being like, need sleep. That's all I would say. And she would come up and she would take him and spend a couple hours with him while we would sleep. And looking back, we're like, that was the dumbest thing we did. Like, yes, I appreciate you. You were here for me, whatever. But why? Why do we both not sleep?
Yeah. And they're always like, you sleep when the baby sleeps.
Yeah.
And I really wish I could have.
I know, right? So I think I really wanted to try and breastfeed Landon. But with him being away from me, and that is an emotional toll on you also.
Yeah.
Like they don't tell you about that either.
Yeah.
And at that point, it was a lot of pushing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of pushing. If you did not want to do that, it was like you were like not a good mom.
That was very much because I had my son around the same time. I think like that.
2012.
Reese was born in 2013. But that was the gold standard, right? And if you didn't follow the gold standard, then,
I'm like this. I'm an AI, and this baby is screaming his head off because he is, I'm guessing, starving, and I'm not doing anything. I'm like, can we just give him something?
Well, yeah, and you have to understand like the impact of trauma on your body to be able to function normally, right? Like your body to be able to produce the breast milk and to produce the things like there has to be so many things that are going right for that to happen appropriately. And like you just went through a huge trauma. Like
Right.
Your body's like, wait a minute, let's focus on the trauma and then we'll get to that, right? And that's really tough. Really tough.
I knew at that point I was not going to breastfeed. But I wanted to pump. I still wanted to do it, but I wanted to pump. But I'm not as open as some people. Like, let me just throw them right out there in front of you.
No.
Like, that's not me. I'm very, so I would take myself to the bedroom and I would pump in the bedroom. I had a chair in there. That's what I would do. But I think that's where my mental downfall started because I was excluding myself from what was happening. Even if nobody was there, I still would go in the bedroom.
Right.
I was there by myself with my own thoughts.
Yeah, not always the best.
Right. And I didn't realize it or acknowledge it for a very long time.
So you had said that you felt like potentially that was like an undiagnosed postpartum depression. And so when did you kind of realize like maybe something's not
Well,
right?
Richard he got hired by Anne Arundel in August of 2013. And he went away and he was gone Monday through Friday. A lot of times he would go Sunday night, stay the night, and then he would be there till Friday night when he came home.
Yeah.
So I was home with a 1-year-old by myself, and I was working full time. And I still had my mom and my sister would take turns watching him. He was not in daycare. I would eat dinner with anybody who would take me in. I would, so I didn't have to make dinner for myself except for Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays when Richard was home. But I think at him being gone, I started to resent him.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was home by myself. When he came home, Landon wanted nothing to do with him.
He's like, who's this guy?
Exactly. Like, he would come in and, like, everything in the kitchen was all over the floor as I'm cooking dinner. He's like, what is going on? I'm like, he's entertained. I'm trying to get dinner cooked.
Yeah.
Right. He's entertained. Like, this is what's happening. And I think I remember one time where, like, we did not talk for for a while. Well, way longer than we should have gone. And finally he was like, we started a fire outside after Landon was asleep. And he's like, we need to talk. Like, this is not okay.
Yeah.
And I am bad. I will hold things in.
Me too.
I just hold them in until it's like, until I'm at my point, and then I'm done. I think that conversation is really what decided that we needed to do something.
Well, I wanted to kind of circle back to that because I think it's a very common theme, especially in when children are young. You know, a lot of the responsibility falls on mom because you're a food provider, right? Like you're the one that is there providing the food, providing the comfort and the care. And I think it's really common, especially, and I can only speak from my perspective, because when our son was an infant, my husband was full-time K-9, which was permanent nights. So I worked all day, came home, was a single parent until, he would come home at 4:00 in the morning and be able to go to bed. And I was like, oh, what's that like? And so you start to develop some of that resentment because you're like, I think one thing there's a phrase that I heard recently that was called a single married mom. And so a lot of time spouses of first responders, spouses of military that are deployed or away or on missions, we become a full-time single married mom.
Right.
And so a lot of that resentment, I think, can build up really easily and real fast.
Yeah.
So you guys, you had that, you were juggling full-time job, baby, husband away at the academy, fire academy, fire school, I would say. And then so obviously that really impacted your marriage. And you said you developed that resentment. And then finally it came to a point where you're like, we gotta talk about this.
Gotta do something.
Yeah.
So I reached out and searched and talked to different people to see if I could talk to somebody. So I started seeing a counselor, I guess is what she was. She was LCSW.
Therapist.
And so her thing was postpartum women.
Okay.
And working through that. So
Did you specifically seek her out for the postpartum, or like after you found her, okay, so purposely for that?
Yeah, purposely for that. And I went to her for a while by myself. And then she's like, I think it would be good if he comes with you because of everything that was going on at that point with him being at the academy and stuff. So I was like, I don't know if he's going to do this.
Well, what gave you the courage to ask? Because I think a lot of people are afraid to ask. It's easy for me to say this is a me problem, not a you problem or an us problem. So what do you think gave you that courage to ask Richard to come with you?
Because I figured it couldn't get worse.
That's true.
It already was not good.
Yeah.
We were barely talking. We definitely were not being intimate at the time, and so we weren't connecting.
Right.
At all.
Yeah.
And he did.
That's wonderful.
He came.
So for couples, because I think it's really, shift work and being away and like physical distance, right? You're just physically not spending a lot of time together. So you become physically disconnected. And then that emotional disconnection, when they're home, maybe they're not always physically and emotionally home.
Right.
So for couples that are feeling that disconnect, for couples that are feeling like they're struggling, um, what would you tell them about asking for help early? Like, what did you learn in that early process that would be something to share with others?
I think if we would have gone earlier, or if I would have acknowledged what was going on with me earlier, it would not have been as bad.
Right.
I think we would have been able to maybe prevent some of the resentment,
Right.
prevent some of just the anger that I had,
Yeah.
towards him. And I don't even really think he did anything.
Or it was nothing that he did out of, like, there was no malicious acts or
No.
intent. It's just the life
Right.
that is hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard. And I think one thing that I've noticed amongst, I've been married to a first responder going on 15 years, and there's commonalities amongst us all.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There's certain types of folks that go into being a first responder and military, and there's certain types of folks that they marry. And I think one common theme that I see amongst a lot of us is we have a fierce, independent, and I can do it on my own streak, right? I'm going to do this all by myself, and you're not going to tell me anything about it. And
Right.
I know for me, during that time, it was really hard for me to admit that I couldn't do it all on my own. I had a really hard time admitting that.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as someone was like, it looks like maybe you need a little help, there's a lot going. No, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And not to mention, I'm an LCSW. Right. So I have to be okay, right? Like, my mental health has to be okay.
Because you can't be vulnerable.
Right. I'm not very good at that. I'm
Right.
not very good at being vulnerable.
Right. Same.
And I think that that's a common theme for a lot of us on both sides, on the first responder side and the spouse side or significant other side, is that I think sometimes we have a really hard time being vulnerable. We're fiercely independent.
Mm-hmm.
And so things that, we're not meant to do these things alone, but we somehow make it that if we can't do it alone, there's something wrong with us.
Right.
But it's really that we're not supposed to do it alone.
Right.
Humans are not supposed to be individual. We're supposed to be part of a collective, part of a community, part of a couple. That's why two people are required to make a baby, is because
Right.
it takes two people to raise them.
Right. And if I'm going through postpartum and I'm having postpartum depression, then something's wrong with me.
Right.
And that's hard to admit.
Oh yeah.
That you're going through this. I'm supposed to be this mom who is strong, who can do it, who can take care of this baby, is supposed to be happy to be with my baby, which I was. The best part is when they cuddle up with you and are on your chest. And I still wish my boys would do that, even though they're way too big. But it's hard when you don't want that, or when you don't feel like you're your own self. You're your who you were before you had that baby.
What are some symptoms maybe that you could share that you felt that might help other people recognize it in themselves?
It's hard because, I felt like for the most part I was a good mom. I'm a good mom, but at that point I wasn't interested in a lot of things.
Right.
I didn't have interest in things. I definitely didn't, when nighttime came, like I just wanted to sleep.
Right.
I didn't necessarily get on the floor as much as I probably should have, and played with Landon as much as, looking back, I should have.
Right.
I think the biggest thing is not being interested in things.
Just feeling that disconnect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hear that a lot. Like you would physically be present and doing all the things, but emotionally it was like you're one step removed a little bit. Yeah. That's what I've heard a lot of for that. And it makes sense, right? Like your body's, like you're just checked out a little bit because it's so much.
Yeah.
And especially when, you're the sole provider of that during that time. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And so when you guys started going to counseling together, do you feel like that was like a changing point for you or a turning point for you guys?
Yes, but not initially. I think initially we kind of both went through this. He says it was more me. Could have been more of like the blame game, or
Mm-hmm.
I have it worse than you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because my point was, I'm home all the time. I work all day. I come home. I have Landon. I have to do bedtime. I have to do everything. I have to do the morning routine. We did have a routine, and it worked good for us. I mean, he
Yeah.
was actually at that point, he was a good baby. I could get him up in the morning. He'd eat his breakfast and cereal in the bedroom floor on his little couch that he had. Watched cartoons while I was getting ready. It it,
It
it
worked.
worked,
Yeah.
but I would say, but I have all this on me, and I have to work, and this, and this. And he's like, but I don't get to be there. So for him, that was the hard thing. For me,
Missing
that
out.
was easy. You
Right.
get to go do whatever you want all week long.
Yeah.
I'm home. I have to do this. I'm the sole provider. I'm work. Um, it took a very long time to break that
Mm-hmm.
for mostly me to get out of that he had it easy and I had it hard.
Right.
You know, because I would have had a really hard time being away from
Yeah.
Landon at that time. But
Sure.
to me, I'm like, he's a guy. It couldn't be that bad. He couldn't not like want to be
Yeah.
home that much. You know,
Right. I think we as moms, we have a tendency to think that we have the connection.
right,
Dads are just there as fun dads.
right, hmm right.
But it's true. Yeah.
We learned through that whole process that we feel connection differently,
Mm-hmm.
right? Everybody's different. Everybody feels connected emotionally or physically different.
Mm-hmm.
And, we just assume that we each do it the same. And that's not the case.
Right.
So it was nice having somebody that wasn't in our house that could hear how we were feeling and hear what we were going through. And as long as we were honest, and I tried to be very honest because I figured at that point, what good is it if I'm not honest?
Yeah. What do we got to lose?
Right. She was able to have us both try and see each other with what we were feeling and how we were doing, everything, and had us think about different things.
Okay. And so he was away for that. How long was he away at fire school?
Oh my goodness. It was a couple months.
Couple months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was maybe the end of it was a couple months. That's what I remember. It
Sure,
felt like
it
it felt like forever. but it
forever and
probably
ever and a
was not.
day. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And then once he got home, how did that kind of change things? Or did things change? Or he's back off to work, so.
Yeah, but he only works every third day
Okay.
or every fourth day. So he'll work Sunday, have off Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and go to work Thursday.
Okay.
Have off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, go to work Monday. So it rotates every week. So then he kind of had more of, he started doing a lot of house stuff. Right?
Yeah, the dynamics changed a little bit.
He's home 3 days a week, even though his first day off, he sleeps, depending on what his
Sure,
night
yeah.
was. He sleeps. But then he started doing a lot of the house stuff. He started doing the laundry and cleaning and, picking up Landon from school sometimes or taking him, depending on what needed to happen, which is still that way. He still, at that time, he was not cooking, so I still had that on top of it. Luckily, he has learned to cook through the years, so he now cooks when he's home, so that's nice.
Did you struggle with that switch?
No.
See, I struggled with it a little bit. I know it's silly. Maybe it's a little bit of a control freak in me. I don't know. But, when TJ went from, being, like either shift work or all night work or, to then all of a sudden being home from, medical retirement to being home all the time. And now he's taking on a lot more of that role of housework and stuff. I had, a little bit of a guilt in me. I don't know why. It's that I should be able to do all these things still. And he's like, I'm here, right? I can, I'll be in the kitchen doing dishes in between a call. And he's like, I can do that, right? And I'm like, yeah.
No, see, I'm
You're like,
I
no,
am
please.
I'm not a fan of cleaning. I've never been a fan. Obviously, I've done it. I'm not a fan of it. And he is a neat freak.
Yeah.
So it just comes to him. Like, that's just always how he's been. Laundry, again, I'll put that stuff in the washing machine and the dryer. It's the after part
Oh yeah, no, forget it.
that I
Still
am
piled up
not
in
a
there.
fan of. So if you want to
Right.
fold and do all the laundry, be my guest. He will tell you now that I take him for granted, and I probably do. Because when he doesn't do the laundry, I'm like, hey, are you going to do the laundry? He's like, can you not do it? I was like, I can, but you're home 3 days a week. Like, can you just do the laundry?
Like, come on now. You
So,
do it.
yeah, we joke a lot about that right now.
Um, so tell me about, you had a lot of that when he was in Afghanistan, obviously, dealing with the scary parts of it, right? Not knowing, like knowing something happened, but not knowing the impact on maybe where he was or, so now he's back. You have your baby.
Mhm.
When, so is at that time when he came back, what was his role? Like, what did your life look like then?
So, and I worried while he was gone, but I don't think I actually worried, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
I knew that something could happen to him, and I did worry, and I was always hoping for the phone calls and that kind of stuff, but I don't know if it was actually real.
Right. So far away and so far removed. Yeah.
Yep. Because he couldn't tell me anything that was happening when he called,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. But when he got back and when he would open up, that's the thing. When he would open up, when he would tell you some different things that happened, I still don't think it connected with me.
Right.
I still don't think I worried about it much. Being in the fire service and both of us, it never crossed my mind. None of the bad stuff ever crossed my mind through that point. I think when it really hit me was I now have a child.
Mm-hmm.
He is working at Milford. Um, so it's 2012, it's December, and the Warren furniture in Milford
Big fire there.
catches fire.
Mm-hmm.
Richard is working.
Mm.
We have social media is big right now in
Yeah.
2012, and
Yeah.
it is all over social media about this fire. And it is on social media now that the building has collapsed and there's people inside. There could be people inside, right? There's
Right,
a
and that's
mayday.
all you hear.
That's all you hear.
Mm.
And I know my husband is there,
Yeah.
and he don't care. You know what I mean? At that point in his life, he didn't care. He was just young, dumb, almost bulletproof.
Always running towards.
Right. And I'm losing my mind at home
Gosh.
with my 6-month-old. I'm calling everybody. I'm calling him. I know he can't answer the phone. You know what I mean? I know he can't.
Yeah.
I am calling his brother, which was the head of Ken Center at the time. I'm like, can you just find out? I need to know that it's not him.
Right.
That is the first time where I actually had a hard time.
And so what does that feel like today, like thinking back on it? Because I know what it feels like for me to like still think about like that call not knowing. Like knowing something happened but not knowing.
Mm-hmm. Things kind of flash.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is life going to look like?
Mm-hmm.
What am I going to do now?
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to explain this, if it is,
Mm-hmm.
to my child, which doesn't understand at this point, but in the future, if it is, what is our life going to look like moving forward?
All those questions are just like
right,
building up and barreling out.
Mm-hmm.
So listening to that call, like hearing on the radio the evacuation, knowing that there's social media things coming out. Do you think social media has made things harder for families of first responders?
Yes.
Or, yeah.
Because now we know.
Mm-hmm.
Because they put everything. Right. Everything goes on. As soon as something happens, it goes up.
Mm-hmm.
And like you know that your loved one is there, or this, or because before, like, if I had a radio, I could hear it myself. That was my choice,
right,
to turn it on. But social media, I'm just scrolling, and then I see things. I'm not even thinking about, I don't know anything's happening in Milford. It's 30 minutes away from me.
Right.
I don't know. I'm just scrolling, living my life. And then all of a sudden I see this and I'm like, it's like your heart just drops completely out. And you're like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely think it is, in that aspect, it's not good.
No, and it's not always correct information that's being put out there, which
Mm-hmm.
is devastating to a family to hear. All I heard was TJ was shot in the face. Like, that means a lot of different things
Yeah.
to what it actually was, right? And somebody is, like, I think people need to understand that there's families behind those messages,
Mm-hmm.
and and you have to understand that somebody that loves that person is reading it.
Yeah.
And it's not just clickbait. Like, that's somebody's life.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? For some people, it's like, let me get this sensational story. I can get more views. I can get this and that. But it's like, there's a family that's looking at that has to feel that.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, and so when did you find out that he was okay, or how did you find out? Well, was he okay? I don't know.
He was okay. He was not in there. My brother-in-law actually called somebody on the scene
Okay.
and then called me back. And
Okay,
then
good.
Richard eventually called me.
Right.
Of course, he was having the time of his life.
Yeah, funny how that works, right?
Having the time of his life as I'm like stressing out at home,
Yeah.
losing it.
We never really, like, TJ and I really never had a process until probably until after, I think we were a little bit older. We had Reese, because he would just, go out on SOG hits, SWAT hits, and I'd be like, okay, bye. And then it didn't, I don't think until later, where it was like, you need to text me as soon as you're done to let me know that you're okay. Like, that way I know and I can move on. Like,
Right.
I'm not going to sit here and worry about while you're driving back home for 30 minutes, what's going on in those 30 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
just send me a text, let me know everything's okay. And did you guys ever develop a process from that? Like, from this? No.
We should have. That's a great idea.
Like, just know that I'm going to be worried about you. I need you to send me a text that you're okay. That's all I
Right.
need to know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because again, you never know what social media is gonna pop up, and I think, we now live in a society where so much information's at our fingertips, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that type of knowledge is power all the time, or if there's something to be said for a little bit of ignorance and not knowing. I feel like there's a little bit of a protective factor for some of us in that. I know so many people that just don't go on social media anymore because it's like, they'll let me know what I need to know.
Yeah.
Because it's so, some people are like, oh, you're just delaying the anxiety of it. And it's like, okay, I'm okay with that right now. I'm okay with, I would rather not know than to know false information.
Yeah.
Or scary, not true information.
Yeah.
And so Richard was a paramedic, or was it paramedic or EMT? I never know really the difference, but
In Milford,
yeah,
he was just EMT.
EMT.
Not just an EMT, but he was an EMT.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so kind of how did things progress from there?
So he did that until he got hired from Anne Arundel.
And then went away.
Mm-hmm. And then there he was a firefighter EMT
Okay.
for a few years. He did some. He went into a lot of fires at that time also, and a lot of different accidents and all kinds of stuff. Like, he's gotten, awards for going in and saving people probably when they shouldn't have, that kind of stuff. Again, but I didn't know about it. I didn't know about it. And that's the thing. With him being in Maryland, I don't have the connections, right? I don't know people over there to be posting things, so I'm not following them. I don't see them. I don't know anything that happens over there.
Right.
Again, is that good or bad? I'm thinking that ignorance is bliss right now, because I've been lucky, I guess, and nothing has, or he's just told me afterwards about different things.
Right. What he chooses to share.
Right. So then I don't have to go through all that unless I have to go through it.
Right.
So
when he would come home from shifts, would you ask him, like, oh, how was it? Like, would you ask him, like, the things that he did or the things that he saw, or, like, do you kind of leave it for him to share?
No, we go through it. I ask him how his night is, how his day was, how his night was, and he'll share if he has, like, good calls or anything like that. And I think that's part of our relationship too, is because I have the background. So
Yeah, you understand
He can
it,
tell me
yeah.
things and I can understand it. It's a different world in Maryland, and especially in such a big department, a paid department. It's different than what I'm used to, but I still understand it.
Okay. So he's been doing that for a while. And then so bring us up to a little bit more current to July of 2022. tell us about what happened with Richard.
So at this
Then.
time, he's now a paramedic. He went back and got his paramedic, so now he's on a medic unit. And I think he kind of made that choice because of how things, we now have our second child, and he has realized that his family is important, and he needs to think about his safety a little bit more and not do like those crazy things that he did prior.
Yeah.
So he became a paramedic, and now he's on a medic unit.
And not to cut you off, but do you think that realization comes with age or with responsibility? I don't know.
I think a little bit of both.
A little bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like you do see that shift in a lot of them, like the first responder community, maybe even military, I don't know, where you can see they're like young, dumb, and running and gunning on the streets, and then eventually you see that kind of shift pull back a little bit.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. So it's actually funny. So Richard has always been good about his health and working out. When COVID hit, we were both very into working out. We got stuff for workout at home at the have our own gym. So he went to work out, and I was like, "Don't work out. Let's just go drink a beer on the porch. Like, come drink a beer with me.
Let's go relax." Yeah.
And he's like, "No." I'm like, "Working out's overrated. I really think you should drink a beer with me." And he's like, "No, I'll do that later." So he worked out, did his thing. I'm drinking my beer on the porch. He went over to take the trash, and I did not know this at the time. Okay, I'm still oblivious. I guess when he got out of the truck, put the trash in the dumpster, he thought he was going to pass out. He got really dizzy, and then he came back. He decided not to drink a beer with me because he felt this way. He thought it's just because he worked out too hard. He pushed himself too hard. Still, I don't know any of this. We go to bed. He goes to work. He works. He's on a different medic unit than what he's used to.
And this was in Anne Arundel.
In Anne Arundel.
So he had to drive over there.
He did.
Okay.
He had to drive over there. He's in a different unit than he's used to, and he keeps tripping getting in the unit.
Okay.
And he just says it's because he's not used to the unit. The step must be a little higher than what he's used to.
A little different, yeah.
Yeah. Works his whole shift. I'm packing at home because we're leaving in the morning. When he gets home, we're leaving for Georgia.
Oh, wow.
So I'm packing, getting everything. So when he backs in, I can just throw everything in and we can leave. So he gets home. I'm doing that. He's showering. I drive. We drive halfway. We stay the night. I still don't know anything.
Huh.
We go the next morning. We get up. We go the last little bit. We pull into his grandparents. He gets out of the vehicle and he can't walk right. His gait is off. I'm like, "What's wrong with you?" And he's like, "I don't know." Okay. So we're eating. And as he is eating, he is dropping food, like trying to get it to his plate. He's like dropping it before it gets to his plate. When
like
he's eating.
Depth perception is off.
Yes. He's trying to eat and it's like falling. I'm like, "What is your problem?" Like, I am not being nice. I'm like, "What is your problem? Why are you acting like this?" He's like, "I don't know." So of course I call my sister. I'm like, "What? All this is going on? Like, what's going on?" She's like, he's
having a stroke.
So I didn't call her right away because that next day we were headed to Atlanta.
Oh, goodness.
To go to a Braves game. Okay. Now I think we're about 2 hours north of Atlanta. He drives us to Atlanta.
My goodness.
On like 5-lane highway, right? And it's like 5 or 6 lanes there. And he is driving horribly. I mean, he is on the yellow line. It's just really bad. We get there, fine, nothing. We leave. He's driving again.
So you got through the whole game.
Got through the whole game.
And I'm guessing it's baseball season, so it's hot.
It is, yep. So he's driving us back, and he's like, "I don't know why they're blowing their horn at me." I'm like, "Because you're in the middle of the road. You're in the middle of 2 lanes."
Just oblivious.
And then finally, his grandfather was like, "Are you okay? Like, do you want me to drive?" And he's like, "Yeah, you probably should." So we drive another 15 minutes before he gets out of the vehicle. So then the next day is when I call my sister and I'm like, what's going on? She's like, he needs to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Like, seriously. I'm like, okay. So I talked to him. Like, then that day, he's trying to walk up the driveway to see if he still can't walk right. And we go, and we are in rural Georgia.
Mm.
Okay. So we go up and we go
Like,
to
how
this.
far was the closest hospital?
The little one was not that far.
Okay, so they had like a small medical center.
Yes. So we went there and they stroke alerted him right away. And I'm like, what? Like, what?
You're like, I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't this.
It wasn't this. It was not this.
Oh my gosh.
So like, I'm like, they alerted him, they took him back. So I'm sitting in the waiting room by myself. And I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. So I like called my sister and she's like, yeah, that's why I told you he needed to go to the hospital. So we are days now since the initial. We think that when he, felt like he was going to pass out, that's when it kind of ruptured.
Right.
He could have been dead.
Yeah.
Before he came back home.
So, like, kind of looking back and talking to him, does he talk about that he recognized it but dismissed it?
Yes. That's why he kept coming up with the excuses of what it was, right? He's like, I'm too young. Knowing as a paramedic, he is not too young.
No,
but he's like, I'm young, I'm healthy. Like, this isn't happening to me.
Yeah, it's something else. Got to be something else.
Yeah, not at all. This is not me.
Yeah. I find it interesting because do you think a lot of folks in this profession kind of dismiss those things? Like, oh, that's not me.
Yeah.
Like, why do first responders do that? I would say, I don't want to say first responder, I would say medical professionals too. Like,
yes,
a lot of folks in medical professions are like, no, not
can't be
that's what I would tell somebody, but it's not what's happening to me.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Gosh, so what was that like learning, that your husband had a stroke 12 hours away from home?
It was, well, for a little bit, we were also in limbo because is it an active bleed?
Right.
Which it obviously can't be an active bleed because we're now like 48 hours from the original, if not more. Like, because if he is, they are sending him to Erlanger in Nashville. No, sorry, not Erlanger. Sorry, that's the hospital in where we were. They're sending him to what's the big hospital in Nashville?
Vanderbilt?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Or are they just sending him to Chattanooga?
Okay.
Luckily, he went to Chattanooga.
Okay.
So it was only about 30, 40 minutes.
Okay.
We were like right on that Tennessee-Georgia line. So luckily, that's where he went. So we didn't have to go anywhere. I didn't have to leave my kids in Georgia.
And then go super far.
Right.
Yeah.
It was okay because his grandparents live there. He has an aunt that lives there. And I knew that they would take care of the boys.
You had support outside of that.
Right.
Yeah.
But my family wasn't there either.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm,
Your people.
Right. My people to help me. So I'm sitting in there, in the hospital by myself, just thinking of everything now. I got to go home. We just told my kids that we were just going to go see what's wrong with Daddy. He's not feeling well. Like, what's wrong? Now I have to go home and tell them he's not coming home tonight.
Yeah.
That he's in the hospital, that he had a stroke and all that stuff.
How did Richard take it?
He didn't really show too much.
Yeah.
He had a really hard time afterwards because he couldn't do anything on his own.
Mm. Yeah.
He couldn't mow the grass, which he drove him crazy.
I'm sure.
Couldn't mow the grass. He couldn't walk right.
Mm.
He needed help. He needed help with pretty much everything.
Yeah. And so, as a spouse of someone who's a very strong individual, right? Somebody who runs towards danger, runs towards fire, is constantly helping other people, literally saving lives. Having to watch them struggle with normal everyday tasks, walking, I'm sure the eating, like, certain things like that. Do you feel like that changed you at all as a wife? Seeing him in that vulnerable, different way?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's not invincible, right? I feel like a lot of times we think that our husband is supposed to they're this strong men, which they are, and that they're to protect us,
Mm-hmm.
right? That because that's their whole goal, right? To
Yeah.
protect their family and be there from their family, and then him not being able to do that.
Yeah.
I think it really was hard for him. He wouldn't say it,
No.
but it changed him because you can just see like he values things more now.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the past, I had tried to get him to, I joke with him, I tried to get him to read the Five Love Languages. He
Mm-hmm.
didn't read that book. I tried. I was like, but he had a stroke, thought he was going to die. Now he wants to learn my love language.
Puts things into perspective a little bit, right? It changes things. Definitely changes your perspective, I'd say, right?
Yeah, so I think it did bring us closer because he wanted to learn how to better support me, how to love me better, or
Mm-hmm.
how I like to be loved. Not that he didn't love me, but like really know how I feel appreciated.
Yeah.
I've already always known that he is the acts of service, like in acts of service, and he is affirmations. He needs the affirmations, but that's not me.
Right.
and he, and I think when we try to show love, we show love how we want to see it.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I think going through this experience, it has brought us closer. We have learned to understand each other and value each other more.
Right. Do you think it changed him as a father?
Yes, it has. He has always said that he wants to be present always, and he sometimes to a fault. If he'll tell the boys that they're going to do something, he follows through.
Right.
Even if I'm like, but you can do it tomorrow. He's like, no, I told him we were going to do it today. I'm doing it today.
Right.
He tries to be at every single thing. He will take off of work to be at everything. And I'm like, that it's just a scrimmage. It's not like that big. It's not like the state championship game. Like it is just a scrimmage. I don't care.
Yep.
So it's very hard. I try to get him to balance that kind of stuff.
Right.
But he wants to be there for everything.
Mm.
Because, we found out that was not his first bleed.
Oh, okay.
He had more. He has what is called, they've called it several different things. But it's a cavernous malformation. So it's like an hemangioma in his brain.
So tell me what that is, because I don't know what that is.
Like I had them when I was little. It's like they're red spots, and I might say it wrong, but it's when I believe it's a whole bunch of blood vessels are all like twisted up.
Like a cluster.
Yes. And sometimes there's a sac around them, and sometimes there is not. And that's what his was. And it's in his brain, and it's in his brain stem.
Okay.
So he does not have the option for surgery either.
Gotcha. Okay.
If it was in different parts, like on the front or somewhere easy to get to, they could possibly take it out. But they will not do surgery on his unless they think that it would do less damage going in than what it's causing.
Gotcha. And so what are some of the changes that he's had to make subsequently to kind of, manage that? Or you guys have had to make?
Yeah, I mean, it took him a very long time. He was out of work for quite some time, which is hard because he luckily is not one of those people that uses every vacation every year.
Okay.
He saves his vacation. He saves his sick time, all that kind of stuff. So he was able to take time off and not have to lose pay. He was still able to get paid for it. And then he was able to work. Once everything settled, he was able to work desk duty for a while before going back. I remember a funny time, like we go on vacation usually every August. So we're only like a month into this whole thing, and his gait is still off. So we're at Deep Creek Lake in Maryland, and we're at the state park. And this year we just happened, usually we stay right close to the bathhouse, but this year we're all the way at the top.
Oh, man.
Luckily we were in a cabin though, so I didn't have to do the whole tent and everything. And we go with several of my cousins, my sister and brother-in-law, and all our families. And he decides
Oh, no.
that he is independent and he's going to go to the
course.
bathroom by himself
Oh, okay.
at the bottom of this hill.
Mm.
And I just remember like he's going down and we're trying to get him to lean back because he can't stop himself going down this hill. And like I'm like running down after him, trying to like push him so that oh my God, it was hilarious. And we still laugh about it. But I'm like, why did you think that you could do that?
Because I wanted
He's
to.
like, well, I just needed to use the bathroom. I'm like, but you can't walk on flat ground. And you're trying to go down this hill. He's like, I want to be able to go by myself. I'm like, I get that.
Yeah, I also don't want you to break your face. Thanks.
Right. Like you already are having trouble. Like we don't need to add broken bones and all kinds of other stuff on top of it.
Yeah. I know in TJ's recovery, he was very adamant he was doing certain things, and I was very adamant he wasn't doing certain things. So we had a tendency to butt heads over some of those things because, he wanted to be much more independent, and I was much more fearful of him creating more damage.
Yeah. I mean, now the hard part is for me, right? Because he's not the same person.
Right.
Because he had a traumatic brain injury.
Oh, yeah,
Stroke.
100%.
He does not remember everything.
Mm-hmm.
So that is frustrating.
So he has like short-term memory loss from the stroke.
Yeah, like and not. I know we all forget things, right? But I'm just like, I just told you this, like, and he's like, well, I forgot. I'm like, I know. And my sister always gives me a hard time. She's like, he had a brain injury. I'm like, I know, but it's still frustrating.
Like I can still be frustrated by it.
Right. I can I understand. So I'm not gonna like holler at him for it, but like it's frustrating.
Oh yeah. And so from the stroke, how does that kind of, because I know you had talked about that kind of, brought up obviously a lot of questions about, I don't want to say like not physical security, but like emotional, financial, income, and future security. Like, right, like that it made him no longer, he's, obviously not invincible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So right before that, I had just finished in education. So I had been a teacher for a while and decided that I wanted to do something else.
Right.
In education. So I went and I got my admin certification. And I was like, I wasn't interested in going to administration at that time. But then thinking about it, like if he couldn't work, if he had to quit working, we couldn't survive on just my pay.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we probably could, but we couldn't do anything.
None of the things that you love to do.
Right.
Yeah. All the extra fun things.
Right. So I think that's really where I was like, I need to step out of my comfort zone and I need to do what is best for our family. Because I had to think about us in case.
So from teacher to get that admin certification, what does that entail?
Well, I went through I didn't go back to school to get a degree or anything. Sometimes you can get a master's in school leadership or something like that. So I went through what's called the University of Delaware PPP, Principal Preparation Program.
Okay.
So I had to take several classes and do hours in a building and that kind of stuff. And a lot of the hours I could do in the building I currently was at.
Oh, good. Okay.
And then I had to take a praxis to say, yes,
Okay.
I had my certification.
Awesome. Okay. Mm-hmm. So when all of this, so it's something that you kind of had in your back pocket,
Mm-hmm.
but not necessarily had the intention of using.
Right.
And so, stepping into a professional role out of maybe necessity more than desire, what was that like?
Of just trying to make the decision?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I knew, so that was in 22. So I went to school, went back to school that year and was like, I think I need to start looking, right? I need to start looking, but I'm happy where I'm at. And I'm not just going to pick a job to pick it.
Right.
Because I don't want to be
Not
miserable at the
push
same
it.
time.
Yeah.
Right. The money is not worth it if I'm miserable.
Right. Yeah.
So I went that whole year, kept looking, and then somebody actually sent me a posting for a kindergarten center position. And I was like, I like little kids.
Yeah.
I'm in first grade.
Little kids are sweet. They're great.
Yeah. I was like, I think I'm going to try. I like where I'm at, so if I don't get it, oh well.
Yeah.
And my thing is like, I don't want to apply for a job where if I always apply thinking I'm going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Because what if I do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you're like, oh, well, I don't know if I actually want that job. Well, now I have to tell you no.
Right. And then, potentially take a position away from somebody else that
Right.
genuinely wanted it.
Right. So I applied in the summer of 23, and I got hired right before school started.
Oh, wow.
So I had to start my position that I currently was at. And then I started October 2nd or something in that new school.
So you transitioned into the leadership role there.
Mm-hmm. In a new district. So that was
a new district on top of it. Wow. So you have a husband who's recovering and starting a new position in a new district.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of stress.
Yeah.
And your children are in your old district or your new district at the time?
They were in the old district at the time.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So lots of changes.
Yeah. But going into this new role, I brought less stuff home, which doesn't make any sense, right? Because I was an instructional coach, and I brought stuff home all the time. And he always would get on me, like, stop bringing so much stuff home. I'm like, you don't understand. Just because you can leave your job and come home and not have to bring anything home.
Yeah.
You can leave it at the door when you leave that firehouse. You're done. I can't.
Yeah.
It's just not part of education.
Yeah.
But when I switched, I did.
You were able to leave it there.
I was able to leave a lot. Or what I would do is when he was working, after I put the kids to bed, then I would do stuff.
Right.
You know.
You were able to kind of check it a little bit more when he was home on the days that he was home.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So how do you, and I think there's this struggle for a lot of families whose spouse's career is kind of like I don't want to say the lead career, the lead role, but if you're married to somebody in the military, you're a military family.
Right.
If you're married to somebody in the first responder community, firefighting, law enforcement, you are a first responder family, right? So their role kind of takes lead in your family identity, in your family role, and I think for women or spouses that have ambition and have important careers on their own, how do we balance that? You know what I mean? For so long when we're young, like TJ's career as a law enforcement, that really shaped what we did, right? Like we went on vacations based on his schedule. We did things based on his schedule. Everything was based on their schedule, right? And as a military family, everything is based around their deployments, their trainings, their whatever, their weekends that they have to work. And a lot of times our careers are on the back burner or just fit in. I don't want to say fit in, but fit in. How do you manage that? Like as a leadership position, like your job is very important and shapes a lot of things. So how do you guys do that balance?
You're right. We still do that though. Like when we're looking to go somewhere in the summertime, because now I work summers. I didn't work the summers.
Yeah.
I was home all the time with the kids in the summer, and he was home, when he was not, but now I'm not. I work. We still do work around his schedule.
Right.
I try to, hopefully that it works, where I try to go on like a holiday week, so I only have to take a couple days.
Mm-hmm.
But like there's 1 week a month where he only works on Wednesday.
Oh, wow.
So we try to plan that week.
That's your week to go.
Right, because then he only has to take 1 day, 24 instead of 48 hours.
Yeah.
So when we do that, but now really what drives what we do is baseball.
I could hear you there.
I mean, do the kids have a tournament this weekend? When's practice? Mostly in the summer, starting in, March all the way through the summer. It's who has a tournament this weekend, who doesn't.
So are both your boys on travel ball?
They are.
Oh, bless you.
Mm-hmm.
I only have one in travel ball, and I don't know how y'all do it.
Yeah. It's lucky. There's 2 of us, luckily.
Yeah, you got to divide and conquer sometimes. Huh?
There are some weekends that we don't see each other much. Because I'm with one, or we'll meet at home, even if we're an hour or so away. We'll meet at home, and then we'll swap and do the opposite the next day.
Yeah. Wow. One thing that I think is interesting, because you have a profession that's very involved in people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
Your husband has a profession that's very involved in people's lives, even though he's maybe removed, right? Like he's not working in the the town that you live in, that your children are in, but you are very
Right.
much so. And then, like, when there was a period when we lived in Milford, when TJ worked in Milford, and it didn't necessarily impact us until our kid got to school.
Mm.
And that was the time we were like, we're gonna have to move out of this town. And then with your children being very active and very involved, how do you, as an educator, as a first responder, how do you, because as when you're in firefighting, you're very much a first responder. How do you guys manage that? Like when you're in the community that you work in and you see the things that not everybody sees and you know the things that not everybody knows. Like, how do you manage those situations?
Well, I think luckily, Richard's in Maryland, so it doesn't kind of affect much. And like, I am not active anymore
Mm-hmm.
in the fire service because I couldn't do
Oh
all
my
of it.
gosh. Yeah, that's
I couldn't. Really, no matter what, my kids come before everything. They
right.
come before my job. They come before everything because
Mm-hmm.
I only have so much time with them,
Right. Yeah.
and they're what matters. So, and luckily, I work at a building with the administration, and district administration is also very good about families and being family oriented. And I think that's what matters. But I think that's what also helps us be good leaders, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is knowing that our family, whether it's our personal family, the school family, that's what comes first. And I
Right.
think that's what, when Richard and I think of different things, that's what we always look to. Is this what's in the best interest for our boys and for our family?
Right.
And that's how we go.
And that's how you kind of frame things and how you make decisions.
Yes.
So, one thing I feel like I'm seeing a big shift in the community is the culture around mental health
Mm-hmm.
and first responders. Um, and so after 15 years in the fire service and everything that Richard has done in the military and in paramedics and EMT and in the fire service, how would you describe the culture that you see around mental health?
I think it's definitely changing. I know that when I was younger and in it, if something happened, somebody close to us, um, when I was in the fire service, we lost kids that we went to school with, that we were, one kid we all grew up with, and they would always bring somebody in,
Mm-hmm.
but we didn't really talk to them,
Yeah,
you know.
like
Um,
Sisman and yeah.
right. We didn't talk to them. When you go through high school, there's always, unfortunately, people who pass away,
Mm-hmm.
car accidents most of the time. But I don't think even in the service, all the 15 years and right before I had my kid, it didn't hit me until I had kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's when life really changed for me. And that's when I
Oh yeah,
really realized that I'm not invincible.
yeah.
Like I have to make better choices for my kids and the future. Um, I think it kind of is dealt with a lot of times with alcohol
Oh yeah.
and laughter, jokes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's like a bad scene, I think a lot of times it's jokes to get you through it.
Oh yeah.
Not joking about it, but just joking amongst ourselves about different things so that we take that out of what actually just happened, what we just saw.
Right. Try to add a little levity to the situation.
Right. And I think that it hasn't been until recently where, and maybe it's because we're getting older, maybe it's because we're surrounding ourselves with older people, um, that it really, I've started to see a change, really. Richard has a really good friend, Tyler, who he's originally from Delaware, Sussex County also, Bethany Beach area. He was a paramedic in Anne Arundel, and he was balls to the walls. Like there was no stopping him. Like he was not safe sometimes, because he was just that kind of kid.
Yeah.
And he had a kid, and that started to put life into his perspective too. And I think seeing all of these first responders committing suicide
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that we're not the toughest, what you see on the outside is not what's happening on the inside. Like
Right.
everybody is dealing with something. Some are better at hiding it than others.
Right.
And I think sometimes those that hide it are really struggling more than those who show it.
Oh sure. Yeah.
Um, you know, Tyler actually decided to walk away from the job because of a incident that he was on that just made it too real for him having a newborn child.
Mm-hmm.
And then not long after that, he started talking a lot about like therapy and that kind of stuff. And he started Hope's House in Maryland, which is specifically for first responders.
Hope's House.
Mm-hmm. First responders and supporting them through mental health.
So this is a nonprofit that he started?
Yeah. And I think Richard talking with him a lot has changed his perspective on some things also, and how mental health, even though we went through the therapy, it was more relationship
Right, about us.
about us. Whereas understanding that it's okay to not be okay and it's
Right.
okay to talk about it.
Right.
It doesn't mean that you're weak. It doesn't mean that you're not the same person. We all go through, I think, points in our life where we just need somebody to listen. We need somebody to talk to. We need somebody to say, yeah,
That really sucked.
yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. That really
Right.
sucked.
So
But it's okay to be okay.
right.
Yeah,
What can you
maybe-
do, or how can we move past this? And, what can I do to help you? And I think just knowing that other people also go through that is very impactful.
Right. And I think for so long there's this stigma that you're weak if you talk about the impact of the trauma that you witness on an everyday basis, right? Like the first responders, in writing we had a presentation and I was trying to like collect facts and just to get some perspective, and it was like the average person has like maybe 4 semi-traumatic to traumatic events in their lifetime or witnesses that. And first responders, think about how many traumatic events they witness in a day,
Right.
right? And then now we're supposed to just be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're just supposed to like have all these compounding traumas and like seeing all these things and enduring and vicarious trauma and, be, I'm okay. I'm fine, right? And so I think we're seeing, I hope, I have a hope that there's a shift from, being able to say that you're not okay as seeing that as weak to seeing that as really that's a strength,
Right.
to being able to say, this is hard and I need help, as like that's the strong thing, and pretending that you're okay when you're not is the weak part.
Mm-hmm.
And how can we get to that point?
And it's hard.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I
It's
mean,
hard.
I have a hard time saying when I'm having a hard time, you know what I mean? And
Right.
I'm supposed to be able to talk about it,
Right.
right?
I think it's really hard to admit that because like you said, you're showing vulnerability
Mm-hmm.
and other people think you're weak. And I think in the first responder world, which is mostly men,
Mm-hmm.
it's even harder.
Yeah. Very, very much so.
Because people look at you and then, there's all that talk too, behind the scenes, that they just don't agree with,
Right.
the vocalization of it.
Yeah. And I since so like there's certain like milestones I think over the last couple years that I kind of reflect back to, and just because as a police wife I think about the losses that our community has had, and the community response afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see a significant change, I think, in the last couple years. We had Officer Ballard pass away, and then the community response from that was very much, focused on his significant other and her child, and the coming together of a community there. Now I'm seeing, since the most recent loss, I'm seeing much more focus on mental health.
Yeah.
I'm seeing like Delaware State Police put out a brief for significant others and spouses. I've never seen that. And I think that's huge. And I think that also comes from his wife speaking at the funeral to talk about what a backbone the families are to these officers and to our community, and that there needs to be more discussion about, the loss and the tragedy and the trauma. And I'm really hopeful that there's a shift and that departments, fire, police, ambulance, all of it can set the tone, the culture to say what you do every day has an impact on you.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to talk about it, not if, but how it actually is impacting you, not if it impacts you, because it's 100% impacting you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think if we can make that shift to it is happening and we're going to talk about it to, oh, just let me know if you're having a problem, right? Because that brushes it away.
But I think it also, mental health should start in schools.
Right.
Because if we wait until then, it could be too late.
Right.
Right? If we start in schools and we have everybody understand that it's okay to talk about things, it's okay to talk about how you feel, more than just saying that.
Right.
Like if we actually do it, then when they get to be men and they start and they have these jobs and they have families and we still push it. Okay, they talked about it in school. They're still talking about it now that I have a career. Maybe this is something that I should look into a little bit more.
Right. And I think we have to treat it as a skill, right? Like, it's not something I'm good at. I can talk to anybody about their feelings. I'm not great at talking about how I feel. Yeah. So it's a skill that you have to develop, right? And you're right. If we start developing that skill when we're younger, hopefully the more manageable it will be to be able to talk about it when you're faced with these really tough things as an adult, right? It's a skill that you have to hone in on.
Yes.
And so the Hope House in Maryland, so that's a nonprofit that Richard's friend Tyler started. Yep. And what do they do?
They do a lot of different things. They had, I think it was donuts with ponies on Christmas Day. Like they do stuff all throughout. They'll have benefits, golf benefits. It's all in Maryland on the Western Shore, of course. But he really tailors to first responders because of the stuff that he witnessed, and he's trying to take the stigma away from it. Again, I think I said that it all came about of all these first responders committing suicide, and he's like, I have to do something. Somebody has to do something, right? So I have this farm. We have a lot of property. He just wants to do it, and I think that could be part of his way of also
his healing,
right? And just getting his family involved and adding to that for himself.
That's wonderful. So now, Richard is back to work, and he still is he still, would you say, in his recovery, or would you say that he's pretty, like the residual effects of his stroke are managed?
I think except for his memory at times,
right.
I think he's pretty good with his recovery.
So now, like, what do you consider a healthy marriage to look like for you guys right now?
I think we are ever changing. We've been married almost 16 years this year, because we got married in 2010, and it changes sometimes by the month, right?
Yeah.
Of what it could be. I think, somebody always told me that your husband always comes first, which people think that's odd because your kids should, but if you don't have a healthy marriage, then your kids won't be happy.
Right.
So we don't do as good a job as we should, but we try to go on dates. And we try to talk about something other than our kids, because when our kids leave, what are we going to have?
Right. Yeah.
We have to be able to still communicate and have conversations, because we used to talk all the time before we had kids.
Oh, yeah.
But once we had kids, everything revolves around the kids.
Right.
Which is not going to change. Our life will still revolve around them. But we've started making small changes to try and make us a priority.
Right.
The date nights, the trying to talk, not just he laughs at me sometimes, or not really laughs, but makes fun of me sometimes, because sometimes he's like, hey, we're just roommates right now. Like, I didn't marry you to be your roommate, so we need to think about stuff. Like, So sometimes it is putting each other in our place and
Yeah.
making sure that we're still here, right? Because I think it is easy to just get in the routine of life.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Just go through the motions. Yeah.
yep, going through. But those are some things that we've done, trying to do dates. Our kids are getting older now, so we could leave them for an hour or an hour or so while we go out to dinner.
Right.
Or they just go hang out with somebody, a family, and we'll go have a date or that kind of stuff. So we try to do that. We try to, like I said, sit down after the kids are in bed and talk. It is, we're just like everybody else, though. Sometimes we get stuck on the doom scroll, and we have to remind ourselves to put it to the side and have that conversation. Really just putting us first.
So, like, it sounds like maybe trying to find ways to connect through the busyness. Like, with busy schedules, high stress careers, kids here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah.
Just making sure that you find time to reconnect emotionally, physically, all the things that are important for a marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
It has to be a priority.
And it has to be intentional, right? Like, I think so many people get, like you said, stuck in that routine that it's hard to make it intentional. It's hard to be like, because I think the human nature is that you'll instantly slide into whatever's easy, right? And it's really easy to get stuck on your phone, just doom scrolling, or I think especially, like we're caught up in the I have to do this laundry, I have to get this done, I have to get that done, and making it, like you said, making that your priority, your relationship, your priority over some other things. You know, that's tough. That's really tough stuff. So what gives you? Well, actually, let me rein that back in. How do you manage? Because I know with all the things that you've been through, how do you not feel on edge between your career and all the things you've witnessed, your husband's all the things he's gone through and witnessed? How do you manage the edginess of it when we know the reality of some things?
It's hard because all through, once I had my kids, I think I'm going to say this right. I could catastrophize, right, things, which I never did before. But as soon as I had my first child, I started doing that. And I would even, when my mom was watching him, now she raised 2 girls at the same time. And here she is with 1 boy. I think she can handle it. But I'm like, please don't let him off the porch. Please do this. Please do this. And she's like, I got it.
Like, I've done this before, once or twice.
So I just overly worry. And it is a struggle every single day to not do that. It is like I really have to work every day to not think of the negative things that could happen in life, especially to my kids.
Right. Yeah.
And I think Richard has started kind of like that too, because like last year Landon wrestled. He didn't say anything about it. This year he's like, I hope he doesn't wrestle. I'm like, why? He's like, because he's little. He could get hurt. I'm like, you didn't say anything.
Like, why are we just worried about this now?
Right. You let him do it last year. Like, you got to let him do it this year. But it is. I mean, it is a sometimes everyday struggle to not think about it. Yeah. And I've worked since having him, going through postpartum and going through throughout dealing with that and trying not to think about it, because it can put you in your, like, it could just keep you in your place. Like, you can't live if that's all you're thinking about.
You're constantly worried about what's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
So I try to just live in the moment where my feet are and think about that. But things pop up, that first year I became an administrator with Landon. He was over 30 minutes away from me, and he called me one day and said, there's a kid with a gun in the building. I love you. And he hung up on me.
Oh, Jesus. Like, I got to go.
And that's what I did. I ran out of my building. I don't really know if there was or not. That's a lot of up in the air, but that's what all the kids felt like happened.
That was their reality. Sure.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's what I shared. Like, it doesn't matter if that's what happened or not. That's the reality.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I knew that he was coming with me next year.
Right.
He was going to be closer to me. He was
Yeah.
not going to be 30 minutes away from me.
No.
I knew going to that building, I could not get him. And if
Mm-hmm.
that was the reality of actually what was happening, I wouldn't be able to get him, but I had to be there,
Right.
you know? So I think stuff like that and things in the world also don't help mental health,
No.
especially as moms, because, and especially me, like I always think of the what ifs,
Right.
which is nice because I have Richard sometimes to just say, it's okay. Like,
Yeah. A partner to balance it out.
right.
Saying the reality of this actually happening is this.
Right.
And it's like, okay. Sometimes you just need to get you need to get out of your head, right? And have somebody to talk to about it. Because I think, especially, spouses of first responders, when they're not with you, you can worry all day.
Yeah.
Because you have no idea what they're going to roll into.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know if that fire is going to be a collapse. You don't know if that person they're going to pull over is going to happen.
Yep.
The unknown is all out there. But I think you're right. Like having that person to talk to say, these are what my fears are. And then be like, okay, well, they've survived 100%, 100% of the time so far. And, not to minimize or make those fears any less because, again, they're your reality. But to have someone to bounce them off to is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Goodness. But on the flip side, there's so many things out there to terrify us. What are some things that give you hope currently?
I think that's what's good about education, right? Is that every day you get to see smiling faces.
Mm-hmm.
You get to see students who might not behaviorally have maybe been making the best choices last week, last month, since the beginning of the year. And then all of a sudden something clicks. You've built a relationship with them and they're excited to come to you and show you their behavior chart that says that they've had a great day so far and that they want to come to you every class period just to show you and how proud they are that they're able to make good choices today.
Yeah.
I think that on the daily, that's what helps.
Right. So just to kind of, I guess, to finish off, what is something, because I think one of the purpose of why I would really like to see first responders families, military first responder families talk about their experiences. What is something that you would like people to understand about families behind the uniform, behind the first responders?
I think that, when I think of the first responders, EMTs, firefighters in that realm, because that's what, our everyday life is that they have families too.
Right.
That there's somebody that they're working, they're providing service for somebody while they're working every day. But, they also are coming home to us. And, Richard works tirelessly to support other people every day. So sometimes when he comes home and he wants to regress or, just sit at home and, kind of veg for a little while, like he's mentally trying to like switch his roles, I think, right? That it's not easy for them sometimes. It's not easy for us because, like we talked about, that unknown for us is, for me, 24 hours at a time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's happening for 24 hours at a time. When he doesn't answer the phone, I'm just like, he's on a call, or he's at the hospital, or I try not to look where he's at, even though I can see where he's at. I try not to look where he's at, because sometimes I don't want to know. I don't want to know. But I think that they need grace too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they are just trying to do their best every day to support everybody, that sometimes they need support.
Right.
And understanding. And they're just there to do a job. Like, they're not there to, like, catch you up on something. Like, they're just there to do their job, provide you a service, and go home at the end of the day.
Right. Their ultimate goal is to come home.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. So, looking back over all the things that you guys have been through, what do you think how have you changed? I know we talked about how he changed, but how have you changed?
I think I don't really know. I think I'm more understanding,
Mm.
right? Especially with the whole stroke.
Mm-hmm.
You know, knowing that he needs help too, that he's not, you know, this supernatural guy that nothing's going to happen to. He's always going to be there. He's always going to be, there to support us no matter what. Like I know he'll always be there to support us as much as he can, but that he also needs me.
Right.
You know, that I didn't think that I would have to do that. I didn't think, I'd hoped that I never have to take care of him like that. Like I'd like, just
Sure.
because I don't, for me, I'm not in the medical field. So for me, like even as my like grandparents and stuff were passing away and stuff like that stuff's hard for me because that's not what I do.
Right. That's not your natural
Right.
go-to.
That
Sure.
I feel very awkward and very, it's just very difficult for me. But it didn't for him. Like when I was with him because he's my responsibility. Like,
Right. Yeah.
um, I will always be there for him. I know that. And I know that life is not easy and every day changes and every day is something different. So I want to live with better intention and making sure that I'm trying to leave the world in a better place than when I found it,
Mm-hmm.
which is difficult. But really, family time being what's most important.
Right.
And trying to make those changes where we spend more time as a family and we're more intentional with our time when we are together. We're together, every day, but how much time of that is actually intentional time? We're not
Right.
just, there saying we're there.
In the same space, but doing our thing. Yeah.
Right. Trying to just wanting to work together to raise our boys to be good men.
Right. And that's common. Like I went to school for psychology, but they always say like the older you get, the more you start looking back and how you're going to leave your mark and your legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And for parents, a lot of time our legacy are our children, and so we pour so much into them, and we want them to be good humans and good people. And I think the older we get, the more we reflect back on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, is there anything else that you would like to share or add?
I don't think so.
Well, I think you've done great.
Oh, well, thank you.
Great first podcast. You did wonderful. It's not easy, and I appreciate it. To bare your soul.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I think you did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
And so thank you for coming. And if I look forward to seeing how you guys progress.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.